Oh, cool.
I know.
That's very cool.
I didn't see it
That's
coming. You
very
told me
cool.
that on Monday, last Monday.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool.
I know. I'm psyched.
Well,
I want to hear about what you're working on too before we're done here tonight. So don't. I'm not going to let you get away without talking about yourself for a few minutes.
okay. All right. So now just general questions about Jeff. You're going to a desert island, right? What book are you taking with you?
Oh man, only one book.
All right, I'll let you take 5.
Oh, 5 books. I would probably take Mike Madden's Drone just because it meant so much to me. I'd take Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably The Hunt for Red October. That's 3. Probably the original Gray Man. First Greeny book. Man, it's kind of a toss-up. It'd be a toss-up between Jack Carr's Savage Son or Brad Thor's Full Black.
Okay. All right. Good. What is your favorite book that has been made into a movie?
Oh, man. Probably my favorite is Jurassic Park. Because as a kid, you know, you're growing up with not a lot of money. I could go out into the garden with, you know, cheap plastic dinosaur figures, and I could do Jurassic Park and all that until the lights shut off on the street. My parents had to drag me inside. So when that movie came out, I mean, my parents took me to see it in the theater dozens of times. I pre-ordered the VHS tape. I was there on the day that it came out. You know, I read the book. I have multiple copies of the book in different versions that I've collected over the years. So for me, I love military action thrillers, and I love a little bit of those action crime thrillers like Reacher. But man, a good sci-fi action book like Jurassic Park really just kind of fuels that fire and makes me feel like a kid again and creative and just highly entertained. So, and I think every kid grows up loving dinosaurs to a degree. So if I had the money to buy a T-Rex skull to put right here on this table behind me, I would do it.
Yep. Or even a replica.
Yeah, a replica. Yeah, I couldn't afford a real one. It probably cost me $1 billion.
Your wife wouldn't know. Like, what the heck did you spend this money on?
Yeah, she'd be like, "That's cool, but how much did it cost, and why did you do that?" Without talking to me.
I would have been more satisfied if you come home with a bag of magic beans. So very cool. No, I totally hear what you're saying. Like Crichton, classic Crichton back in the day. You know, Jurassic Park.
So ahead of his time.
Yeah, there was the one. I want to say it was Sphere.
Yeah,
so they made it into a movie. Yeah,
several of his books were turned into movies. Like crazy how ahead of his time he was on some of this technology and the research that he did, you know, and, you know, even his last one about eruption with the volcano that James Patterson helped write, you know, some of the things in there are kind of ahead of their time. And it was like, I think that's what I appreciate most about some of these books is that, you know, they're so forward leaning that you're like, that couldn't happen. And then when it does happen, you're like, how did they know? How did they know that? that's
apparently
fun.
We're bringing the dire wolf back. You know.
Yeah, did you see that? Actually happened? Wow.
I mean, yeah, they're cuddly now. Give them a year.
Yeah.
See how that works for you.
Yeah, they're over 100 pounds.
We're gonna bring back the mammoth too. It's funny because it's like we've seen this movie. We know how this goes.
5 times. We're about to get a 6th one or a 7th one. Like, we've seen it plenty.
Because you know there is some knucklehead out there who's going to be like, yeah, sure. Let's give it a shot. And then you get this horrific, you know, killing machine that, you know, you need an AT-4 to put down. I mean, what the heck?
Well, and the technology now is what really scares me because the technology with genetic engineering was that you had to have a really good DNA sample in order to be able to rebuild it and get there. Well, I read how they did it with the dire wolf, where they basically said a dire wolf is so closely related to like this one species of wolf, so they were able to use AI and get tons and tons of samples of dire wolf DNA and put it into a computer. And then AI was able to look at a wolf species and look at a dire wolf, and it was basically able to rebuild the dire wolf's DNA strand. That's what's crazy, is now you might not have to have a whole sequence of DNA. With AI, and these supercomputers can actually compute it and get you something that is really, really close to 100%. That's the scary thing, that we're no longer limited by what we can bring to the table. So now, could they create a raptor? Could they create a Tyrannosaurus Rex? It might not be too far off to think that it's possible with the way technology is, just because they did exactly what they said they could do with the direwolf.
Oh, absolutely. And neither one of us have, the deep scientific backgrounds on that, but I would postulate that, the things that we don't think are possible today could very well be possible in the not too distant future. I remember right around the time I was retiring from the agency, we still thought we were 5 to 10 years out from a stable quantum computer. They're real now. Mm-hmm. I mean, my son, when he was looking at different universities, went to RPI at Troy, New York, and they've got a quantum computer. It's amazing. So my point is, yeah, we may not know if it's possible today, or eventually we'll probably get there. Yes. But then that begs the question of the ethics of it. You probably remember a few years back there was a Chinese geneticist who had gone into a woman who was pregnant, went into the child was in utero, and he went in and modified the child's DNA using CRISPR. And it was for conceivably legitimate reasons, in that she was predisposed to a certain disease. And I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but generally speaking, the scientific community is like, well, you're not going to experiment on a child in utero. You're just not going to do that. And somebody did. So the point here, and the relevance to the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, we may not be able to make a dinosaur today, but at some point we will. And there's going to be somebody out there who's not going to necessarily share our ethos and our philosophy, and just is going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's scientists out there that do it just for the science. Just because they can. They're not concerned with, and not that they're irresponsible, but they're not concerned with the who, what, where, when, and why.